guys. So welcome. Ukambani Kathiani, they have said no to Ruto and they have spoken loudly. And of course, including Senator, she's known as Senator Kavindu and Wavinya Ndeti. We've seen a lot of leaders actually speaking against Ruto. Now, the opposition is taking roots in Ukambani, of course, because they believe so much that Kalonzo Musyoka will be given the mantle to run the presidential seat, because that is the person who has been endorsed from Nyanza to all the way to Coast and back to Western, guys. And we hope that Gachagua will actually give him room, but support him strongly, because that is what we expect. However, because he was betrayed, do you think Gachagua will be free to support another person? That's the question that I'm trying to press and ask. Drop your comments if you have different views and continue watching our live stream. Of course, our video will not be long, maybe 20 minutes to the maximum, so that I can deal with other matters. I'm supposed to build content for grade 10 and do more than just this. All right. So guys, what is popping? And in the funeral at Machakos, a lot of people spoke, politicians, and we saw in the house dramas in the united opposition, as well as many other discussions online. And of course, one of the people who actually surprised us was the lady Senator Kavindu, who told the president that he was mad and he was the most foolish individual if he called others foolish, because all the people in Kenya cannot be foolish when he's their father. And of course, kids see what the father does before they say it. What do you think about this? Was she too much, or was she just at the level that is expected? And the dramas in Machakos went on with Gachagua shouting a lot of things and indicating that there is need for them to create respect for their own leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, so that he is not abused in that end. And of course, one person shouted in the middle of the speech, two-term, and I don't know what he said. Let's just go for it and check on what he said.
Click up AI Note Taker, do it for you. It allows you to focus on your meetings, not wale wote ambao wamefika hapa katika hii sherehe ya kumsidikisha huyu mzee baba yetu, na wale wote marafiki na familia.
Naman Bishti, welcome. I know this is from Asia. Thank you so much.
Wayai ni museo na mabinda onde muriagadwa itu muriokuo no muyomiririe ona to hadirio ni kasongo. Asante sana. Thank you very much. Baba Askofu, tumeshukuru sana kwa kutupatia nafasi. Bishop Nzomo ni rafiki wa familia yetu, wamekuwa wakifanya kazi pamoja na Reverend Docas.
Naman Bishti is asking, who is this? Are you sure you don't know who this man is? Nobody doesn't know him over the world.
Tumekuwa family friends, na kwa hivyo tulipopata habari ya kwamba mzee wake ameaga, tukasema tutakuwa pamoja kwa maombi na kuja together as a family. Niliona watu ya ODM wakiambia Kalonzo, sisi tunataka wewe lakini hatutaki yule Rigiji. Sasa utaambia mtu awachane na ndugu yake? Yeah? Na hao wako kwa Kasongo. Kama mnataka Kalonzo, mtoke kwa Kasongo mkuje muambie mkiwa hapa ndani. Wengine wanakuja kuniambia wachana na hii Kalonzo. Hakuna pahali mtaenda na yeye. Mimi siko na Kalonzo kwa sababu ya siasa. Hapana. Mimi niko na Kalonzo Musyoka kwa sababu hii ni familia. Hapo sawa. Mtashikilia Mboi? Mimi naomba watu ya Kathiani mshikilie huyu mtoto. Ajui ile Wakikuyu wako pale ni watu ya Maumau. Hawataki fujo na hawataki kutishwa. Walipiga mzungu mweupe akarudi kwao. Sasa kati ya mzungu mweupe na William Ruto nani yako na nguvu? Sasa mimi nimesema hata akinikataza kwenda round Sunday nitaenda Katutu South pale kwa Uhuru Kenyatta. Nifanye mikutano hapo, nikoroge maneno, nikoroge niwache imeingia laini. Akitaka kutuma watu tutakutana kwa ground. Lakini sasa pia nimeamua, because ananitatiza, nimetafuta njia. Monday asubuhi nimeitisha radio inaitwa Kameme. Nitaongea na Wakikuyu for 3 hours. niwapatie maneno mpaka masikio ikuwe moto. Sindio? Nikimaliza niite ile radio za Wakamba, nipatie nyinyi maneno mpaka masikio ikuwe moto. Wakamba nipatie nyinyi maneno nisimpatie. Mimi nataka nimwambie Wakamba, hii kura yenu is the most dependable vote in the Republic of Kenya. Because huyu Kalonzo akimwambia right, munaenda right. Hata kama yeye hayuko kwa debe, last election hakuwa president, hakuwa deputy, alipiga pahali mlimwambia. Si ndio? Hii kura mimi nataka tuitumie vizuri. Na hii kura yenu ndio itakuja kuokoa Kenya. Ndani itarwa hadhari, mkomereja mateke. Is the same. Hi cousins. Mtamsaidia huyu kiongozi. Let me tell you mashule. Nimeangalia hapa Ukambani. The people of Ukambani, their leaders took time to develop good institutions. Very good educational institutions. Hapa Machakos muko na Kathiani Girls. Si ni shule maarufu? Tuko na Machakos Boys. Tuko Machakos Girls. Tuko Tala High School. Pale Makueni hata walijaribu zaidi. St. Joseph Girls Kibwezi. Tuko na Precious Blood Kilungu. Tuko Makueni Boys, Makueni Girls. St. Alphosa Kisau. St. Teresa Boni Girls. Tuko Boni Boys. Tuko Muka Boys. Tuko Matiliku Secondary School. Ukienda pale Kitui, iko Kitui High. Iko St. Charles Luanga. Iko Mudhale Girls. Iko Kemanga Girls. Umesikia juzi nikilalamika. Hizo shule watoto hapa Kathiani, maxi ya kuingia hapa Kathiani Girls ni 60. Mtoto wa hapa Kathiani ako na 62, ameomba hapo, amenyimwa nafasi. Anapelekwa day school iko Kericho. Ni haki hiyo? Na hii shule wazazi ndio walijenga. Mimi nauliza wale watoto wote wamepita na ameomba shule ya nyumbani ilijengwa na wazazi wake, apewe nafasi kwenda kwa hiyo shule. It is wrong. Mtoto hapa Kathiani anyimwe nafasi akiwa na 62 marks. Mtoto mwingine atoke pahali ingine akiwa na 45 apewe. Na sisi hatuna shida na watu ya Northeastern kwa sababu wanapiga kelele ati wajae mashule hii. Tunasema hata Northeastern shule zijengwe. Watoto ya Ukambani waende huko wajuane na wale wa Somali. We are saying kila mtu ajenge shule. Wale magavana na MPs ya Northeastern kwa jumla tangu devolution ikuje wamepata in excess of 1 trillion. Pesa ya devolution, equalization fund na ya CDF. Wamekataa kujenga mashule. Pesa hiyo yote wanapora, wanaenda kujenga mall Isili. Wanaenda kununua apartment Lavington. Alafu wanapiga kelele ati watoto yao wakuje wasome hapa Machakos. Sisi naambia watu ya Northeastern, lazima tutetee nyinyi. Kwa sababu mtatetewa na nani? Magovernors yenu, MPs yenu, senators yenu wanaishi Nairobi. Nilikuwa nikiwa deputy president nikitaka kwenda Mandera. Governor, MPs wananiuliza huko na ndege. Nasema ndio, utubebe. Tunaenda na hawa, nikimaliza tutarudi na hawa. They stay here in Nairobi. Instead ya pesa develop Mandera and Wajir. Nataka wale wote wanapinga Kalonzo, wale wanampiga, mtawamalizana na hawa? Mtamalizana na hawa? Hii Kasongo anatusubua sisi tukiongea hapa tumara watu. Finally wachana naye. Finally.
Hello, can you guess which one of us is AI? I'll give you 3 seconds to carefully distinguish.
Na mimi ningeomba tu, kwa sababu tuko kanisani hata tukiwa hapa, mimi ningependa tu kuomba maombi kwa sababu ya nchi yetu. Na unajua wakati nchi iko na mashida, ni kanisa tu inaweza simama. Na mahali tumefika, kuna vitu ambazo mimi naona nyinyi mkiomba kabisa, mkipiga pengine Kenya inaweza kuokoka. Ya kwanza ni uongo. Uongo imezidi Kenya hii. Hata mwingine nilisikia akisema ati tunaenda Singapore. Sasa mimi nikajiuliza, hii Singapore itaonekana na hizi shida watu wetu wako nao kweli? Lakini ile uongo ambayo imenishangaza, yani imefika mahali viongozi wanaenda kutengeneza kitu inaitwa polls. Ati anasema ati ule ndio anapendekana sana Kenya kuliko yule mwingine. Those fake polls are a lie. Na lazima tuzicondemn tukiwa kwa kanisa. Kwa sababu wakati wanasema Kalonzo is not the top, kwani waliniuliza nikasema sio hajatosha. Ni nani waliuliza? Mwana yako lwenye mukaja Kalonzo ndatoetie. No toetie kananda toetie. Hiyo uongo tunasema ifanye nini?
Nishindwe.
Ya pili, viongozi wa kanisa ni madharau na matusi. Haki sisi tumetukanwa. Juzi wamekuja hapa Machakos, wakaenda Makueni, wakaenda Kitui, viongozi wakiwa hata na mabendera. Lakini ile kitu tulikuwa tunasikia ni matusi tu. Na sana sana matusi ikielekezwa kwa kiongozi wetu. Yule sisi tunamheshimu. Mtu ambaye hajawahi tukana mtu yeyote Kenya hii. Sisi tunasema
My Lord Bishop Kingo, a wonderful strong man. Dawa vizuri. Lakini tumekuja kushuhudia God is the only one who chooses your resting time. Mzee had to do. Please, tendeni mema so that God gives you a long time to live kama huyu mzee. Kili, we are going to Singapore. Your Excellency Rikiji, Stephen Daktari, my brother. You know, the Prime Minister of Singapore let his friends investigate it. He committed suicide and the Prime Minister did not stop at that. Alienda akasema huyu alijinyonga kwa vile alikuwa ameiba, nikakataa kumsimamia na akajinyonga. When we shall see 10 of the thugs in that state house hanging themselves, then we shall go to Singapore. Without that, hatuendi pahali, ni mchezo wa paka na panya hapa. And the Bible tells me in Galatians 6:4-16 kwamba usikasirike ni kuambia ukweli. Paul was telling Galatians, mazee mnapotea route. Wakamkasirikia. Makasiriko ya huyu ndugu yangu ambaye nilikuwa nafikia ni mtu mzuri na akaja kwa Biblia akafanya mambo yote. Yaani akiambia ukweli anakasirika na tukana watu. Ningependa Mungu mpe maisha marefu mpaka 2027. Next year of course. Aone viongozi na akae aone uongozi mzuri kwa
Madi, welcome to the channel.
Sababu huyu na nafikiri nimemshinda hii kazi. Finally, wa viongozi wa kanisa. I am not as senior as you are, Lord Bishop. Ninakuomba tafadhali uweka viongozi kwa maombi. The only solution to this country is a glue that will bond Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka wakishikana na ndugu yangu Rigiji, the truthful man, my brother Eugene Wamalwa ambaye tulikuwa na bunge na ndugu yake Chris Wamalwa na huyu ndugu wetu tunaitwa
All right, guys. So Ukambani Katiani actually had a very important setting because of the funeral. And out of that, a lot of politicians spoke. Of course, you've seen variety of them. Maggie, welcome to the channel. Nama Beast, we've talked, and so many people are already here. So I want to bring Wavinya Ndeti. Of course, she also considered to share her sentiments, and her pledge was that leaders in the opposition should now ignore what the government is saying. Is it possible? I don't think it is, because politicians are meant to speak. They are meant to convince the world that they are the best. They are meant to actually speak that they can do this or that. They are meant to share what the rest have not done so that they can do. So I don't think that will be the solution. But anyway, let's listen to Wavinya Ndeti briefly before we come back to another discussion.
Bishop, my bishop, Bishop Kingo, our clergy present, all the other lordship bishops, His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, His Excellency, the People's Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, Mama Dorcas, our Reverend, we Nachagu. Nasia na hivi sionde, we kuya sionde, we hananetie. Baiwa ndane na baiwa muongoni. Uni mutethesia na uni wathi you're the custodian. Kwate ya imusie na mwikwate ya nesa. Na imesenga ino kwekata na wa Kristo. Where there is smoke, there is fire. Kuanzisha hivi one stick ya matchbox inaweza kuhakisha forest mzima. Tuangalie na sisi kama wa Kenya tukue werevu sana. Tusikubali mtu anakuja kufanya wale watu wameishi pamoja wakaishi na amani wa Kristo na Waislamu donkey ingoi. Sisi tumeanza safari na tutasaidiana na IBC tuweze kuregister nini votes. Ground yetu ukite ni mwesete thao kiava vote vote thao kia. Yes, naosha nikwambie Rigiji ulisema Wavinya umeniacha hapa kama mzee wa hawa, hata hakuna haja ya kuchunga hawa. Wajibu mtu hawasemi nini, them they know what to do when the day comes. Kanata hawa unaona vitu vile wamenyamaza hivi. You see our people, they are very calm. Hawana mambo mingi. Mtu anakuja anaongea, wanamwangalia tu, anamaliza yake, anafanya nini. Lakini siku ikifika tunafanya nini? Njoo tuisi.
Serious dictation was driving me crazy, so I switched to whisper flow. Here's why I'll never go back.
Aliate kaka.
Tumpige kwa debe. Na hiyo kura yetu tumpige risasi moja, one and final one term, so that apate kujua kwamba kiongozi wa nchi anabeba kila mtu. We lost Rex Masai baka Mudhanga. Natoa hiyo Mudhika mwana kwa miaka 29 alipigwa risasi kwa mguu akafa. Watu wa Machakos na watu wa Makueni na watu wa Kitui, nyinyi mmekuwa watu wa ajabu kwa kusimamia mambo. And when it comes to patriotism, Bishop, we should be allowed to become vigilant. This is why we changed the name of the party from just a democratic movement to a patriotic front. Na front ni kama ile Rigiji alikuwa amevalia jana. Sikuangalia, but I'm told you really looked strong. Kila mtu sasa ajiamulie kuwa strong for yourself and for your country, and not to be cowed. We want to categorically say hapa, it is wrong to regulate the church. Kanisa, hey, na watu wanasema they were prayed into office. And I know some of you here are friends of William Ruto. Mwambieni, this one is a no-go zone. Agariba ndakatwa ikigunda ku Indian Ocean. Kanata na river. So this is it. Lakini obakana aketi no tuyumbani kabisa. Before William Ruto met him. Hey, kuna mtu ambaye roho safi na mama pia anamuombea. It is amazing because we talk freely. Hatuna woga, hatuna nini. Kwa hivyo wengine wanaogopa hii, wanaona watu watafika, wataenda ona.
His Excellencies, we must think very well about the education sector in this country. And I want to congratulate Kitui High School, Boni Girls, and Caring Arts secondary schools within our region in the 3 counties for scoring above 8.6%. And there are many others within the region.
8.6 minutes
but
per percent.
Clergy, nyinyi mko na mashule. Bishop Kingo wangu mko na mashule. I have a problem. We must say it openly. And Rikiji, I saw you talked about how we equalize balance of students in schools. But there is a bigger problem. Kenya registered 996,000 plus students for Form 4 exam. Only 270 students qualify to go to university. The rest cannot go to university. Do we need to go to Singapore or do we need to fix education for this future country? Do we need to go to Singapore or fix education in this country? Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and Rigathi Gachagua and Eugene Wamalwa, God is in your favor to take the reign of this power 2027. The first agenda for this country is to resolve the issue of education from primary to university without fear or favor, and then we'll have a direction of how we can become Singapore, not going to Singapore. The second thing I want to say without fear of contradiction, tuko na katiba. Katiba ya kukutana, katiba ya kuongea, katiba ya kuabudu. Hii serikali imeamua to suspend the constitution. And I want to tell you, Mr. Ruto, if you don't know how constitution is suspended, ask Sulu. When Sulu did what he did in Tanzania, Mr. President, coming, the Gen Zs threatened the president on a national day for independence for Tanzania until he called it off. Is that not suspending the constitution?
The presiding Bishop, Your Grace, Norman Wambua Kingo, the House of Kenya. On behalf of myself, my family, and the fraternity of Association of Pentecostal and Evangelical Clergy of Kenya, APEC. If APEC is here, those who are members of APEC, you can stand so that people can see you. Members, we stand here condoling our family who have lost a father, Mzee Jonathan Kilu, a great patriarch, hero of faith, and a great son of Kenya with strength. And then in Revelation 14:13 it says, "Then I heard a voice from heaven say, write this, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit."
All right, guys, I want us to go to Trump and check on Maduro because there was an insinuation that Maduro has been released. So let's check whether it is really true, whether Maduro has been released. Remember, Maduro was lifted from his country, Venezuela, and we just want to check into details to see what happened. So, of course, Trump announced a military capture of Maduro, after which we saw he was arrested, or rather captured. Now, Trump has released the first picture of Nicolas Maduro after the capture. He released that 6 days ago. But today I saw something interesting. First, checking justification on him. And there were some people who are just trying to tell us that Maduro has been let free, which I doubt. And therefore, that is why I'm following this story closely. Because the last photos that were released of Maduro were this. Let's just check on this.
I am the owner of Oasis Agrovet Magen.
The United States has released the first image of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro following his capture. The photo, shared by U.S. President Donald Trump, shows Maduro on board the USS Iwo Jima, a U.S. Navy assault ship, marking a dramatic escalation in Washington's long-running confrontation with Caracas. U.S. officials say the operation took place overnight in a tightly coordinated military and law enforcement mission. According to U.S. authorities, Maduro and his wife were captured during a nighttime operation inside Venezuela. They were immediately flown out of the country and transported to the United States under heavy security. Officials described the mission as swift, precise, and designed to avoid prolonged confrontation on the ground. Following the capture, the U.S. Justice Department released a new indictment against Maduro and his wife. The indictment accuses Maduro of leading what it calls a corrupt and illegitimate government that used state power to protect and expand illegal activities, including large-scale drug trafficking.
And early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, there's some other good ones like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer. All perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless, and the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out.
So guys, of course, a lot of people are not very happy. Of course, from the end of Africa, we had from Museveni and many other Africans talking. And I don't know why there were so many people from Kenya defending the president of Kenya, Ruto, saying that nothing like that can happen in Kenya. But it's unfortunate because if our leaders are conducting, wrong businesses, getting involved in issues of insecurity, sponsoring anything to do with this kind of thing that we saw Maduro doing, and maybe conducting narcotics, then why do they not deserve the same treatment as what Maduro met? Of course, Trump can be a bit irrational in some situations, but I think if he is spelling the correct information around Maduro, then I don't see why we should actually blame him. But anyway, Celia Flores, the wife of Maduro, was right in the middle of the entire thing that was happening. And therefore, I wanted to show something about it before I get to the last of our discussion.
So Nicolas Maduro remains in U.S. custody. Venezuela is entering a moment of deep uncertainty. The country's allies are watching closely, and the world is waiting to see what comes next. But this story is not just about a captured president. Maduro was not taken alone by the U.S. on Saturday. They also captured his wife. Her name is Celia Flores. She is Venezuela's first lady and a woman who helped shape Maduro's regime for years. Inside Venezuela, she is called the first combatant, the strategist, and the power behind the throne. Tonight, we tell you her story about who she is and how she ended up in a New York prison. Here's a report.
She was never just the first lady of Venezuela. Inside Venezuela's regime, Celia Flores was known by another name, the first combatant. Flores was born in 1956 in central Venezuela and was raised in the working-class neighborhoods of western Caracas. She trained as a lawyer, specializing in labor law and criminal law. In the 1990s, her life changed inside a prison. Hugo Chavez, a soldier-turned-politician, had tried to overthrow the government. He failed, and he was jailed. Flores joined the legal team fighting to free him. That was where she met Nicolas Maduro, a bus driver and union organizer 6 years younger than her. She played a key role in the legal effort that helped secure Chavez's release, and together they rode his revolution to power. When Chavez became president in 1999, Flores and Maduro were rewarded with senior posts. She entered the National Assembly and, in 2006, made history as the first woman to preside over Venezuela's parliament. But her leadership style raised eyebrows. She was accused by critics of appointing several relatives to public posts. When journalists confronted her, she called them mercenaries. She later restricted press access to congressional proceedings. Those close to the couple understood the dynamic early on. One former colleague put it simply: Flores was the brains and Maduro was the brawn. She did not seek the spotlight because she focused on what mattered most: power inside the system. Reports suggest Flores was deeply involved in judicial and prosecutorial appointments, prioritizing loyalty within the courts and legal institutions. Critics described her as a decisive force behind major political decisions. Maduro himself acknowledged her role, calling her the first combatant. When Chavez died in 2013 and Maduro narrowly won the presidency, they married. But Flores made a calculated choice. She stepped back from daily political visibility, appearing selectively on television while retaining influence behind the scenes. Then, the allegations surfaced. In 2015, 2 of her nephews were arrested by U.S. agents in Haiti. They were planning to smuggle hundreds of kilograms of cocaine into the U.S. Both nephews were convicted in New York and sentenced to 18 years. Flores called it a kidnapping. Washington called it proof. Then came more accusations. U.S. prosecutors alleged that Flores had accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes. She denied everything. Sanctions followed from Canada and the United States. Despite the allegations, Flores remained politically influential inside Venezuela until the raid. U.S. forces moved into Caracas in the early hours of Saturday. They took both Maduro and Flores and flew them to New York, where they are being held in a federal jail. At her first court hearing on Monday,
One click to ride your dream mount.
Again and again. A tiny team. If chaos ever came, the building would hold. That assumption became the mistake. Because the structure had already been memorized down to the angles of entry, door thickness, corridor widths, and whatnot. elsewhere, far away in the United States, all the conditions aligned. Darkness in Caracas, clear skies above. The city, unaware, half asleep. The order, the choice was simple. Submit or escalate. Escalation would have ended differently, maybe bloodshed. And that blood would have been of Maduro's because American forces came prepared even for that. And so it ended there. Not with a gunshot, but with restraints. Before dawn, the noise stopped. Helicopters.
All right, guys. So, of course, a lot of people have given different views about this, and I don't know what you think about it. Please drop your comments in relation to Maduro's arrest and in relation to the current, the ODM and United Opposition dramas. Of course, we are left with the looking at ODM dramas, which is revolving around Babu Sifuna, among other leaders. Recently, we had a meeting of about 13 people who were summoned to a national meeting that was engaged to allow a discussion around who is supposed to be the leader. Of course, Babu insinuating that choosing of leaders was not fairly done. So let's listen shortly to Pierre Lumumba. Then another time we'll have a discussion on ODM and its fracas. After this, it will be a bye-bye till another time.
This isn't just any chat, it's click-up chat. Sure, you can tag your team,
What exactly
ask
happened here?
questions, and even drop an emoji. But the real magic is how it connects to the rest of my work. I can tag a task, a dog, or a whiteboard, everything I need in one place.
Venezuela
This goes
is
both
a
ways.
trial ground, and one waits to see what the other powers are going to do about it. Russia, China, one would also say India can do something about it. Brazil, President Lula has already spoken quite firmly. But beyond speaking firmly, beyond convening urgent meetings of regional bodies and UN bodies, what else can be done? The United States is the United States military power. But what I can read is that the Third World War is already being fought in piecemeal.
All right, I don't know whether you believe in the same as what Pierre Lumumba is sharing here. Do you still believe in what Pierre Lumumba is sharing, or you just think the United States did the right thing to actually hold on Maduro? So bye-bye for now. Meet later. Thank you so much for lovely sides. I actually had the largest audience today. And I appreciate that you're returning. Even on edutainment for us, please come back and watch my videos. I really appreciate your host, Prissy. Thank you so much on Life Saga TV. Till later. Bye-bye.